My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be Ella Montgomery, Video 16, Ewan Macdonald, with a subtitle, The Night in the Ditch. Here's my novel, Ella Montgomery, I Gave You Life, a novel by John Passfield. That's a photograph of the historical L.M. Montgomery, the novelist, at about 1938. Now here's a summary of the novel. In 1938, with another world war looming and her own personal problems threatening to overwhelm her, acclaimed Canadian author L.M. Montgomery begins to write what she has decided will be her final Anne novel. Now, there are 8 Anne novels. This one comes in the middle chronologically, but it's the last one written. And in my novel, Ella Montgomery decides it will be the last one. No more after this, she decides. As she works on the new book, she recalls the days when Anne of Green Gables became a worldwide literary phenomenon and the dilemma that she faced at that time. Whether to write a series of novels in which Anne would perpetually remain the child the world had come to know and love, or to allow Anne to grow to adulthood with all the agonizing torments of the one who had given her life, Ellen Montgomery. Now, Ellen Montgomery wrote the first Anne novel, Anne of Green Gables, when she was quite young in 1905. 33 years later, she's asking herself whether she made the right decision when she had the choice of keeping Anne young in future novels or letting her grow to adulthood. She's now had her own adulthood, let's say. Okay, now, 3 books to keep in mind. I've already held this one up. Ella Montgomery, I Gave You Life. In this novel, it's 1938, and Ella Montgomery is writing her final Anne novel, she decides, which turns out to be Anne of Ingleside. As she works on Anne of Ingleside, her memory quite logically goes back to the very first Anne novel, the novel of 33 years earlier, Anne of Green Gables, and that question that she had to answer at that time, do I keep Anne young or not? Now, every word of this novel is a thought in the mind of the main character, Ella Montgomery. Her character, Anne, calls her Miss Montgomery in Chapter 1 and Mrs. Montgomery in the other 15 chapters. Only a few characters in the mind of the main character call her by her married name, Mrs. Macdonald. At one point, she wonders whether her husband's name, Ewan, is spelled E-W-E-N or E-W-A-N. So here's an image arc, okay? An arc runs through 16 chapters, image arc, about her husband, Ewan, which runs through all 16 chapters of thought in the mind of the main character of this novel, L.M. Montgomery. Okay, so to start this image arc about Ewan, let's go to page 5. Let me find it here. Here we are. Now we skip about 10 pages, sorry. There's one image in each chapter. We skip about 10 pages each time. And that's because in between these image arcs, these images which form an arc, are other images of her life. So the one comments on the other. That's the point. That's why they're spread out. So Ewan on page 5. Here it is. The 75th anniversary of the Leaksdale Church. An invitation for Ewan to go back and give a sermon. Pleasant drive, cheerful meals, a backward glance at the good old times. Why do I have such a dreadful feeling that things will go wrong? Ewan sending along a note that we will go. Okay, so I said 10 pages, going from 5 to 12, which is about, 7 pages, for the next installment of this image arc. Ewan again. Ewan talks of backing out. Let him get someone else instead. But Ewan, you'll so enjoy it. A pleasant drive, some cheerful meals, a backward glance at the good old times. I offer to type his sermons so he can read them word for word. I talk him into resigning himself to go. From page 12, we go to page 20. Here we are. No sleep for Ewan. last night. No sleep for me as well. Trying to find a replacement for Ewan, but it's tomorrow and no one can go. I type the sermons and beg him to read them word for word. He gets angry and blusters and shouts that he's fine. From page 20, we go to page 28. In the car on the way to Leaksdale, Ewan insisting he knows the roads, driving miles and miles in circles as I tell him we're taking wrong turns, insisting that we're just around the corner, insisting that he is fine. He used to know these roads like the back of his hand. 28, then we go to 36. Ewan's hands tremble at dinner. What is worse is he doesn't seem to know. A visit to a former parishioner, unshaven, staring, voiceless, the twin of Ewan when darkness befell him in 1919, ignoring ghosts as we sleep in our old room in the manse. Then we go to 44. Ewan again. Ewan's sermon on Sunday morning at the Leaksdale Church. Instead of reading, he speaks extempore. He wanders from topic to topic, lost again on back country roads. After 10 babbling minutes, he turns and sits down. Ewan so calm at the reception, polite smiles from all who shake hands. Does he know that he is falling apart at the seams? Page 52, then we go to. The Church of Zephyr, the evening service. Ewan speaks extempore again. He gets lost and wanders aimlessly, wondering when he will stop and sit down. Scores of people smiling politely and sipping tea. 60. A farewell lunch on Monday morning. Ewan chatting as if he's fine. What could possibly be wrong? His hand keeps trembling as he raises his cup. He doesn't notice as the tea runs down his chin. Ewan smiles and says he will come and preach again. 68. We leave at 11 o'clock at night for our 2-hour drive. We argue over which roads to take, every fork and every crossroad. Is Toronto this way or that? I get out and read the signpost and insist that Ewan read it as well. He cannot read it. He sees no signpost. He abandons the car and begins to walk. I sit down at the side of the road and burst into tears. 76. Ewan driving and muttering and shouting. The wheels are about a foot from the ditch. I keep telling him to move over. He insists that we are fine. Suddenly, the car is on its side. Ewan is slumped against me. He has no idea where we are. I reach back and retrieve my suitcase. I give Ewan a shot of brandy to calm him down. I get out and assess the damage. Excuse me. Engine running, lights burning. We'll need help to fix this tire. Okay, from 86 to 94. Excuse me. On the road at 2 a.m., Ewan driving too close to the ditch. He keeps insisting that he knows how to drive a car. In the distance of oncoming headlights, as Ewan pulls over, we're in the ditch again. Then 104. Sitting in the ditch What are we to do? It will be hours before daylight comes. A car with 4 boys comes along and they lift us out. Do they notice my husband inside, clutching the wheel? That was 104, 112. Sitting in the car, surrounded by walls of fog. We have no idea where we are. Ewan rants and raves and foams. He insists that he knows how to drive a car. From 112 we go to 120. Daylight comes and we can see he starts the car and we proceed. We are on the right road for home, but Ewan insists that we are lost. He gets out on the road and mutters to himself. I hold the fragments of Ewan together with my bare hands. And then 127, 128, this will be the last image unit in this Ewan Night in the Ditch image arc. Home, whatever that means. Exhausted and terribly sad. We pull into the driveway. Ewan is calm, no more than a carcass, as I help him out of the car. I try not to wake up the maid as I fumble with the door. So that's the image arc, a series of image units about Ewan Macdonald, the husband of L.M. Montgomery, who is Mrs. Macdonald and doesn't always think of herself as Mrs. Macdonald. Excuse me again. This is a memory novel. A novel in which the memories are so vivid in the mind of the main character that they are remembered in present tense, as if they are happening at the present moment of thought. Clues in the novel suggest that the memory point of view could be 1938, as that is the latest memory which is recalled in present tense. But it's possible that all of the information in the novel could have been remembered as far beyond 1938 as 1942, the year when L.M. Montgomery died. We humans live on 2 planes of existence at the same time, so dash is here, but number 1, we live in the present moment as we go through the events of our lives. We wake up in the morning and go through every minute and every hour of the present day, and we are conscious of all the information that we encounter during the course of each particular day. Number 2, but we are also creatures of memory. We are going through the present moment, minutes and hours of our day. We are aware, though, of all the information that we have taken into our minds as we've gone through all our past minutes, hours, days, years, and decades of our lives. So, 2 levels of thought in our mind, the present moment and the past in terms of memories, all together in the mind at the same time. Excuse me once again for the frog in my throat and an itch in my eye. At the deepest level of our minds, we think in imagery. Our minds are constantly reviewing, sorting, selecting, and arranging the information that's in our minds in search of the most significant information from our past and our present, and is arranging this information into patterns. Now, when information is arranged in patterns, it becomes imagery. When any 2 items of information are put side by side, are juxtaposed in technical literary terms, they cry out for interpretation. The mind asks itself, at a higher, more conscious level of thought, why? Why the subconscious mind has put these 2 items of information side by side, though they might have entered the mind years or even decades apart. Why has the deepest level of the mind, the level of the mind that manufactures imagery out of information, put these 2 items of information side by side? Or, in a 50,000 word thought, these many thousands of items of information in such a pattern. As readers, we get to see inside the mind of the main character of this novel, Ellen Montgomery. However, we readers only get to see inside the mind at one level of thinking. 2 points here. 1. What we get to see when we read the text of this novel is the level at which the mind is creating imagery and arranging it in patterns. Number 2, what we do not get to see is the level of the mind which is interpreting these patterns of imagery in prose statements of understanding, or perhaps we should say of attempted understanding. So, we can ask ourselves, as readers, why, of all the experiences that the main character Ellen Montgomery, whom we could also think of as Mrs. Macdonald, has had with her husband Ewan Macdonald, Reverend Ewan Macdonald, from the first time she met him to the time, whether it's 1938 or 1942, when she creates a 50,000-word image pattern at the deepest level of her mind, why does she select this particular experience with her husband to turn into an image arc? In what way does she feel that this particular image arc, the night that she and her husband had such difficulty driving what should have been a 2-hour route back to their home, why does she feel that this particular image arc can illuminate, can comment on all of the other experiences of their life together? Now, this, once again, is my novel, Ellen Montgomery, I Gave You Life. It's available on Amazon. If you look there's more information. It's available at Rocks Mills Press, ROCKSMILLSPRESS.com. That's my publisher's website. There's more information there. At my website, johnpassfield.ca, JOHNPASSFIELD.ca. There's 2 free books, a planning notebook in which I record the planning and the writing of the novel, and a journal in which I record my thoughts as I was polishing the novel for a month or 6 weeks. So have a look at any of those items of information, any of those websites if you're interested in the novel and in the topic. Lastly, I'll just say thank you for watching this video.